All right, so first of all, welcome to this full-time programs information session. And this session, as you know, will be particularly about two programs that you should be interested in, and that's why you are now here. Before I'm going to introduce the two programs to you, I have to introduce myself to you. And I'm here today just because I am the program leader of the two programs that you are interested in, that you will be in later on if you are admitted to these two programs. And let me introduce myself to you. I am Danny Leung, so please just call me Danny. So yes, welcome to this session. So just now, as I said, today in this roundabout 30-minute time, I'm going to introduce two language programs, two English language programs to you. And both of these two language programs are offered by the School of Education and Languages. So let's take a look. The first one is Bachelor of English Language Studies with Honors. All right, it's just because the name is a little bit long. So later on, I'm going to use this name, Single Degree Program, to refer to this Bachelor of English Language Studies with Honors program. All right, and following these, I will be talking about the second bachelor's degree program here, which is, I have to take a deep breath, all right. Bachelor of Education with Honors in English Language Teaching and Bachelor of English Language Studies with Honors. Anyway, this will be referred to as the double degree program, because upon completion of this program, you will actually have gained two degrees. One in English Language Studies and the other one in English Language Education. In other words, you will be a qualified English language teacher here in Hong Kong if you complete this program. All right? So I guess most of you here are actually JUPAS applicants. JUPAS applicants, all of you JUPAS applicants, and that's why these are the two numbers, two codes that you have to remember if you want to be admitted to one of these two programs. The first one, JS9540 for the single degree program, and JS9530 for the double degree program. All right? So one more thing I would like to talk about before I talk about the details of these two programs is that for this single degree program, especially for JUPAS applicants, only Year 1 entry is allowed. In other words, you know that because we've got this 4-year university program system here in Hong Kong, and that's why you have to complete all the 4 years of program if you apply for this single degree program. And the same for the single degree program. For this double degree program, you also have to spend 4 years, and that's why only Year 1 entry is allowed. All right, but you can see that if you are the non-JUPAS applicants, you can actually apply via Year 2 entry or Year 3 entry. But since all of you here are the JUPAS applicants, and that's why you can only apply for Year 1 entry, which means that you have to spend 4 years, not just with me, but with this program, with the OUHK. All right? So, yes, briefly, I would like to talk about the program structure of these two programs. For the single degree, that's JS9540, you will spend altogether 4 years here with us, and you can see that with each year, there will be 2 terms or 2 semesters, which are the autumn semester and the spring semester. Autumn semester starts in September every year, and which ends round about December. Or December is actually the month for you to take examinations in the first semester. And the second semester, which is the spring semester, starts every January and ends round about April. All right, and the late April, and the early part of May would be the time for you to take the exam, the final exams for the second semester. All right, so you have to spend 4 years for this single degree program. For the double degree program, this may be something interesting to you, because for most of the double degree programs in Hong Kong, education plus a language program, most of which require 5 years of study. But if you choose to do this double degree program here at the OUHK with us, you just have to spend 4 years instead of 5 years for you to complete this double degree program. Why? Because we fully, not abuse, we fully make use of, all right, your time in summer, all right, in order for you to complete this originally 5-year program, to condense the originally 5-year program into a 4-year one, which means that you will have a chance to graduate 1 year earlier than your companions studying the similar programs in other universities in Hong Kong. That's actually something beneficial to our students, all right? So you will actually turn yourself into a young teacher, a much younger teacher than your companions in Hong Kong studying similar programs, all right? And that's why we have to make use of the 2 summer holidays, and the 2 summer holidays in your year 1 and year 3 will be fully made use of. All right, and that's why you can graduate within a 4-year program. That's for the double degree program. All right, so these are the 2 program structures for the 2 programs. Right, so first of all, let's take a look at this rhetorical question here. Why should you apply to us? Because of the following reasons. First of all our courses are of high quality. All right, so this is not being boisterous here. All right, our courses are really of high quality. Why? Because of the following 2 reasons. Let's take a look. All core courses are developed by acknowledged experts in linguistics and language teaching. You know that these 2 programs are entitled Bachelor of English Language Studies as well as Bachelor of English Language Education. So most of the courses are about how English as a language can actually be studied and taught and learned systematically. So it's very much different from how you learned English in your secondary school. When you were actually learning English in your secondary school, you were actually learning grammar, and grammar. So if you can actually brush up on your grammar, you can actually use the English language more communicatively and more effectively in terms of how you speak, how you write, how you read, and how you listen, the 4 different language proficiency skills. So this is actually one of the many parts in our course, in our program, but it's actually not just the only part, the only part of program in the overall program. And anyway, so you can see that these 2 programs are actually about linguistics and language teaching and learning. And you will know something about these 2 types of courses later on. All right. So we also have a rigorous quality assurance system which ensures all courses are of highest quality and are keeping abreast of the latest trend in the field. Unlike mathematics, unlike some other disciplines, language is always changing. Language is ever-changing. Or linguistics, which is actually the systematic scientific study of language, is ever-changing. And that's why our course materials are always updated, so that all the materials about linguistics and language studies are actually keeping abreast of the latest trend in the linguistic field. All right? And the second reason for you to join us is that most of our full-time faculty members, most of our full-time teachers have already earned their doctoral degree, either a PhD or a Doctor of Education. And that's why most of our teachers, including myself, all right, have already earned a PhD or EDD. So this is just to make sure that you will have something professional, all right, when you are studying with us for the 4-year time. And or, as you can see, dynamic, highly qualified and experienced teachers, all right, as you can see. Anyway, I'm just too much boisterous here. Last but not least, let's take a look at the program structure here. So both degrees are a 4-year program. So both the single degree and the double degree programs are a 4-year program. And as you can see that if you are admitted to the single degree program, you have to complete 160 credits for you to graduate. But if you are admitted to the 4-year double degree program, language studies plus education, you have to do more, or you have to do 40 credits more compared with the single degree program. So that adds up to 200 credits in total. And those 40 credits, additional 40 credits compared with the single degree program, will actually be done in the 2 summer semesters in your year 1 and year 3. And that's why we will fully make use of your summer holidays. All right, don't waste your summertime doing nothing. So that's the point here. The double degree takes only 4 years to complete, while other degrees in education in Hong Kong normally take 5 years. So Hong Kong IET, for example, the double degree program, as well as the double degree program offered by the Chinese University of Hong Kong, both of which require their students to complete a 5-year program instead of a 4-year one. All right, so you will actually graduate 1 year earlier than your companions if you choose to do the double degree with us. All right, so let's take a look at what you will gain after completing either the single degree program or the double degree program. First of all, you know that this is actually about language studies. It's about English language. And that's why a point, all right, by the time you graduate from us, you will have already gained a high level of both written and spoken English proficiency. And let me give you some real statistics. So you can see that most of you here know these particular international English proficiency test, which is IELTS. And most of our graduates have obtained an average overall span score of 7.0 for their IELTS test, which is actually a very good standard, all right? Way above the average of many other English language studies program, students from other English language studies programs here in Hong Kong, all right? So we just have to make sure that your writing ability and your speaking ability, reading and listening, all the 4 different English language skills are good enough, all right, by the time you graduate from us, by means of a group of language proficiency courses, and some of which will be introduced to you later on in today's seminar. And the second thing is, you will gain in-depth knowledge of the English language system. English language system. I'm sure that when you were learning English as a tool language, dating back in your secondary school or primary school, you would have never seen English as a system. But you know that in this English language studies program, we have to study language, English, for example, as a system. All right, we have to analyze English in terms of what English words actually mean, and how come a word can mean something like this, and a word can actually mean something else. All right, this is actually the study of word meanings. And we also have to take a look at how different parts of English are actually put together in order to form a grammatical sentence. It seems to be like something like grammar, but it's not exactly about grammar. So all of which are actually what we call in-depth knowledge of the English language system. We have to analyze the language as a system. All right, so that's something about linguistics. All right, and we have another group of courses which are actually about English language studies as well as linguistics. All right, and you will also gain a critical ability and practical tools to analyze and appreciate language and literature in context. I have to emphasize that prepositional phrase over there, all right? I'm now being so much grammatical here. Prepositional phrase, that in context, all right? In these 2 programs, we emphasize how language, English for example, can actually be studied in context. Language is something for communication. Say, for example, I'm now talking to you, and that's why the language that I'm now using is actually treated against these particular kind of teacher-student context. And that's why it's just because of this particular environment, it's just because of this particular scenario or context that language is used this way, but not that way. And that's why we have to analyze how language is actually used differently in different contexts. Not just how language is used, but also how literature. All right, you know what literature is? So how many of you have actually studied literature in your secondary school? No, that should be something very interesting. You will study some very famous dramas or poems by Shakespeare. Yeah, Shakespeare. Shakespeare was such a great genius, all right, in terms of English literature. And of course, we will have some courses devoted to the study of different genres and masterpieces written by Shakespeare. All right, so that's critical ability. Last but not least, you will gain understanding of language and society and the role of English in the world. We are now talking about English not being just as one single language, but Englishes. Hong Kong English is fundamentally, in terms of accent, say for example, in terms of pronunciation, different from British or American English. And if we compare these 2 biggest varieties of the English language, British English, accent. American English, accent. I saw a car yesterday, British English. I saw a car yesterday, American English. So you can see that it's still this particular language which is called English, but it's just because of internationalization, it's just because of globalization that English is not just one single tongue. Because English is not just spoken by British or American, but by all people having different mother tongues, having different first languages in the world. And that's actually what we want to equip you with in terms of knowledge of understanding English as a global language, all right, in these two programs. All right, so by the end of this program, you should have gained all these 4 different attributes. All right? Right, so in addition, because remember that we're not just talking about a single degree program, but also the double degree program in which you will have the Bachelor of English Language Education as well as English Language Studies. And that's why, in addition, double degree students will gain the following. Let's take a look. Understanding of the growth and development of learners and the significance of social context. If you want to turn yourself into a teacher, all right, you are not on your own because you have to teach a group of pupils or students in a classroom. A classroom is just like a mini society. And that's why we have to take a look at how learners, your students, learn English as a second language in a classroom, again, I have to use this word again, context. All right, in a classroom context. So that's something here. And ability to perceive implications for classroom teaching. Yes, classroom teaching, that's very important. And awareness of the need for ongoing professional, intellectual, and personal development. So something more, you will learn how to design and implement English language curriculum projects based on the needs of learners or as a response to societal change. The society is ever changing, it's always changing. You can't just stick to a particular type of teaching method all the time, all right? For your whole life being a teacher, you have to adapt to some changes in the society in terms of how you teach your students in a second language English classroom. And that's actually what we're going to teach you if you are in this double degree program. And of course, you know, the world is such a technological world, and that's why there's no way for you to escape from the avalanche, all right, of computer. And that's why use relevant IT knowledge and skills effectively in teaching, for study, and in general. Not just of using WhatsApp or messaging system or Facebook, things like that. All of which should be very much familiar with all students, all your students, right? Including yourself because you're now still a student. Anyway, so you're going to use some IT technology in order to facilitate your classroom teaching, especially for English language teaching and learning. Last but not least, promote student development through counseling and extracurricular activities and critically reflect on their learning. Anyway, this double degree program aims at turning its students into a super teacher, all right? Right, so now I think it's the most important part of today's seminar, of today's presentation, in terms of the components of these two programs. In other words, we are going to take a look at the courses that you will be doing with us if you are admitted to these programs. As you can see, for the single degree program, Bachelor of English Language Studies, you will actually take 4 out of the 5 different types of courses here. And for the double degree program, it's just because you are entitled to education. And that's why we have to take 1 more component, which is on the courses of education. So we offer altogether 5 different types of courses for our students in the 2 programs. Language proficiency, how you read, write, listen, and speak English effectively, communicatively. Linguistics and language studies, we're going to talk about that later on. Education, and these 2 names may be a little bit awkward to you. The first one, outside discipline courses. Remember that these 2 programs are about English language studies. But when you graduate, we don't want our students to just know things about the English language, but not Chinese, or business administration, or tourism, or some other disciplines, or some other interesting topics, all right, academic or professional topics. And that's why for these kind of outside discipline courses, you are free to choose whatever courses offered by the university, all right? So, but anyway, these type of course, outside discipline courses are just offered to the single degree students. If you are admitted to the double degree program, I'm just sorry because we have to fully make use of your time. during the summertime, and that's why there's no time for you to take this kind of outside discipline courses. But if you choose to do the single degree program, you can actually choose 3 courses from these outside discipline course batch. All right, so there should be something very interesting. And last but not least, you can see this is the general education courses. Both the double degree students as well as the single degree students have to do a number of these general education courses, and they're actually on different areas and different topics, all right, in the academic area as well as the professional area. All right, so let's take a look at the first type of courses, language proficiency courses. There you go. So no matter you are admitted to the single degree or the double degree programs, you have to take all these 5 proficiency courses as the 5 core courses. So you can see that the contents here cover at least the 4 basic skills, all right, of language: reading and writing, there you go, listening and speaking, plus ENGLE 205F, which is preparing for IELTS. It's a must, all right? So because we just want to let you know how good you are in terms of your English proficiency, or how poor you are in terms of your English proficiency with regard to this standard benchmark of English. All right, so it's a must for you to take this course. And just now, as still remember, I told you that most of the students got the average of around about 7.0 for the overall band score of IELTS test. All right, so that's actually quite a satisfactory level or mark. All right. Oh, by the way, let me just kind of explain to you how you're going to. It looks like a Da Vinci Code to you. All right, so let me just briefly explain to you how you're going to decode this Da Vinci Code here. So ENGL, of course, English. All right. E is an English course. It's kind of redundant. English course, but C, Chinese, no way. English course offered by the ENL school, the School of Education and Languages, because later on you can see that this might not be an E, but an A, which means that it's still an English course, but it's not offered by the School of Education and Languages, but the Arts and Social Sciences School, all right? And F, which means it's a face-to-face full-time program. So this is just some numbers, all right? Right, so if you still remember, this is the second component of all our courses, linguistics and language studies courses, and we have a bunch of courses here. So if you can take a look, yeah, there we go. ENGL, English, but A, which means that this is a course offered by the Arts and Social Sciences School, all right? And these 2 courses are very important. Structure of Modern English, words and sentences. And the second one, structure of modern English, sounds and meaning. They are the 4 most important areas in English language studies, namely the study of semantics, all right, the study of word meanings, the study of syntax, sentences, grammar, the study of phonetics and phonology, all right, and the study of, again, semantics, all right. So these semantics, morphology, syntax, phonetics and phonology are the very important areas as a doorway for you to take a look at how a language is like as a system. All right, so that's actually the content of these 2 courses. And yes, this is actually the course that I would like to highlight a little bit here. English grammar in context, not just because of the interesting point of this course, but also because of the fact that this course is offered by the School of Education and Languages, and this course is taught by me, all right? There's one more thing that I would like to explain to you. You can see there's a number bracketed. That means the credit value, okay, of this course. So 10, which means it's a 10 credit course. 20 credit course. And remember that for a single degree program, but by the time you graduate, you should have completed altogether 160 credits. So these 10 and these 20 will be counted towards that 160. All right? So English grammar in context, that's something very interesting because we won't be talking about, okay, this is a noun, that's a verb, that's an adjective, that's an adverb. So if you want to change an adjective into its adverb, for most of the cases, you just have to add the ly. That's something that you should have already learned in your secondary school or even in your primary school. We have to take a look at, in this course, English grammar in context. In other words, how the use of the English language varies or differs in different contexts. In these classroom contexts, language is used like this. And it's just because of this context, you can see that how the sentences that I'm now using are structured in a way which is so much different from the way that the same sentence is structured when I'm actually chatting with my buddies. Chatting, all right, in English, and lecturing in English are actually two different contexts. And it's just because of these two different contexts that language is indeed used and structured and understood differently. So those are all the things that we're going to mention in this course taught by me, English Grammar in Context. All right, let me just tell you, it's one of the two killer courses on this program, okay? Because it's really difficult. But anyway, it's very difficult, but at the same time, there is both give and take. It's just because it's so difficult that it's also very interesting, all right? Anyway, so the second one that I want to talk about is the art of English. You can take a look at the number here, which is double 10, which is 20. It's another killer course, which is again taught by me, all right? So the art of English is actually about literature. We're going to take a look at creativity in the English language by taking a look at how different masterpieces have been written in the English history in terms of literature, of course. All right, so these are different courses in this particular area, linguistics and language studies. Now let's take a look at educations. So how many of you here have actually intended to enroll in this double degree program? Yes, because you want to turn yourself into a teacher. Yes, the gentleman over there just now asked you. Okay, you're still deciding or you have not decided yet. Hope I will change your mind to put us, okay, as one of your 20 choices in your JUPAS application. Okay, how about you too? No, not yet. So you are here to see if I'm going to change your mind or not. Okay, it seems to me that I won't be able to change your mind, okay? And so we can take a look at these education courses. Of course, all these courses are about how you are going to teach, both philosophically, theoretically, and practically. If you want to turn yourself into a super teacher, still remember this is actually what I advocated just now, you have to know how teaching is like, both on paper as well as, in other words, in theory, as well as how you're going to turn those theories or apply those theories in practice, all right, in a real second language classroom, teaching and learning English, all right? So these are the courses here. Right. Oh, so besides the 5 different types of courses, the components, so you still have some other learning opportunities. So take a look here. So these are the 2 types of courses I mentioned just now, being 2 of the 5 components of the courses. Outside discipline course, you can take actually any courses offered by the Open University of Hong Kong, general education courses on different academic as well as professional areas. Student English Society. All right, so we have a Student English Society. So if you want to be the chairperson, if you want to organize some activities, be they English related or not, all right, you can actually join this Student English Society. Yes, this is particularly for the double degree students. Remember that you have to teach either secondary or primary school students. And that's why you really have to put your theory into practice by doing teaching practicum. 2 periods altogether. For double degree students, 2 periods of 6 weeks each. The first 6 weeks, you're going to spend the first 6 weeks in a primary school. And the second 6 weeks are devoted to a secondary school. All right, so these are the 2 periods where you have to do your teaching practicum or teaching practice. English, of course. Last but not least, is something interesting to you. Immersion program in an English-speaking country. Hong Kong is good enough, but not most of the people in Hong Kong. When you bump into a person in Hong Kong, a stranger in Hong Kong, it's very seldom for you to use English to chat with him or her, all right? But if you go to the UK, I'm sure the only language that people are going to understand you is the English language. And that's why this is something optional. All right, it's not a must for you to participate in this immersion program, but I just have to tell you that this immersion program is so popular every year. So it's organized every summer, all right, and I am going on this immersion program in late May, all right, very soon. Okay, so I have to pack up very soon. And let's take a look at the program contents of this immersion program. Of course, we're going to the UK, and that's why we're not going to learn something about the American culture, all right? You won't see anything about Justin Bieber but One Direction, all right? So British culture in terms of music, advertising, food, education, and family, all right? So yes, of course, we are going to the UK, and that's why, of course, we have to learn something about English literature, Shakespeare, for example. And yes, it's also good for you to conduct some kind of research studies. All right. So as you can see from the picture here, this group of students is actually learning something about ethnographic research. Does anybody know what's meant by ethnographic research? It's actually about intercultural communication. Say, for example, these students here are actually learning to conduct a research study on how Hong Kong people, say, for example, can actually adapt to the British environment. So that's actually something that we will do in terms of an ethnographic research study. All right, so you will learn some tools, some skills, and of course some principles and theories in terms of how this kind of research study can be conducted. All right, so it's kind of very fun, okay, because with this kind of cultural things and literature as well as some research. Right. And of course, this is a must in terms of an immersion program, different kinds of cultural tours, going to the very famous Warwick Castle, because we actually cooperate with the University of Warwick for this immersion program. And that's why the university is situated in Warwick, and that's why it's very convenient for us to visit one of the historical architecture, all right, around Warwick. That's Warwick Castle. And we will also visit Oxford, all right, but not Cambridge, because that's just too far away from Warwick. A little bit farther apart, yeah. Shakespeare's birthplace, okay, that's actually very near Warwick, and that's why that's one of the places that we will go to. That's exciting. Homestay. In order to allow you, or in order to reinforce that, you will speak English 100%, 24 hours a day. The best way for you to do so is to stay with a family who only speak English, but no other languages. And that's why homestay is a must, and it's so much welcome by all students. So you can see some kind of cultural exchange when you're staying with the British family, and you can experience housing and family trends in the UK. Last but not least, you can speak English all the time, all right, with the English family. Right, so something practical after something fantastic. It doesn't mean that this is not something fantastic, but it's really something practical. Entry requirements, all of you here would like to enter our programs via JUPAS application, and that's why only year 1 entry is allowed. And as you can see, level 3 or above in English and Chinese, level 2 or above in mathematics, liberal studies, and an elective subject. That's actually the minimum requirement for JUPAS application, 33222. All right, and let me just give you something more. It's just because these two programs are so much focusing on the use and the understanding and your proficiency of the English language, and that's why we're going to double count your result in English. All right. In other words, if you say, for example, if you get a level 5 for your English, that adds up to 10 points. All right, so your result in HKDSE English subject will be double counted. All right, so it's really an advantage if you can get a good result for your English subject in the HKDSE. Right, and it's something which is much more practical. Tuition fees, all right. We're actually not that expensive because we charge you in terms of the number of credits that you're going to take with us. So tuition fees are collected for each term and are charged according to the number of credits for the courses taken by the student for each term. If you still remember, if you're admitted to the single degree, you have to complete altogether 160 credits, all right. And you have to pay these total amount. All right, but remember that tuition fees are collected for each term, and that's why for each term, all right? So you will pay twice in year 1, which means 54,600 divided by 2 for each term. All right, so that's the tuition fee that you have to pay. And if you're admitted to the double degree program, remember that you have to take altogether 200 credits, and that's why you have to pay a little bit more, just a little bit, I have to say, but they're worth it. All right. So as you can see that because we are going to fully make use of your summer holiday, and that in your year 1 and year 3, and that's why you have to pay a little bit more for year 1 and for year 3, just because of the summer term. All right. So, yes, something which is even much more practical. What will I do after graduation? These are some choices. So, both degrees equip you as a professionally qualified English teacher, having matched the language major and language proficiency requirements for English teachers. So, these two qualifications are not just for English teachers, but for most jobs requiring their applicants to have a language major or to have a language proficiency standard in terms of English. So if you graduate from these two programs, you will have obtained these two qualifications. All right? And both degrees equip you well for career in any field in which the English language proficiency is important. So you know that if you speak and if you write English well, actually, you've got more chances than those who cannot speak or who cannot use English as well as you can. All right, and that's why you can actually find some very good jobs in administration or executive work. All right, civil service, non-government organizations, commercial and business sectors, and even in some other career paths such as translation. Yes, English as a second language or English as a foreign language publishing. All right, because they need editors who can actually write good English because they have to edit a lot of, say, for example, English textbooks used by primary and secondary English learners here in Hong Kong. All right, so your professionalism will be needed. All right, and yes, they need very good English language skills. And the double degree students will have this kind of fully qualified English teacher qualification exempted from the Hong Kong language proficiency requirement for teachers. So if you graduate from the double degree program, there's no need for you to take any more qualification tests in order for you to turn yourself into an English language teacher. You can be an English teacher right away. All right, if you graduate from the double degree program. But if you just graduate from the single degree program, you still have to take a PGDE in order for you to be a qualified English teacher here in Hong Kong. So if you have further inquiries in terms of applications, so these are the two places that you can seek information from, OUHK Information Center and Full-Time Programs Office Registry, or you can actually seek my advice later on. And these are the 4 very important days in terms of your JUPAS application. This is the biggest day of all in your life, all right? The release of result of your HKDSE, all right? Good luck to all of you. And these 2 days are very important because you will be able to change the order of the 20 choices in your JUPAS application. Yeah, you can actually rearrange the order of those programs that you have chosen in your JUPAS application. So for these 2 days, and last but not least, see if I'm going to see you later on, okay, on August the 10th. All right, that's actually the announcement of the main round offer results via the web, all right, for your JUPAS application. So last but not least, thank you very much. If you have any questions, you may actually ask me or the program leader of the double degree program, who is Dr. Thomas Tan, who's not here today. All right, thank you.